Merry Christmas, Swole Your Roll. Thanks for coming by. This is Ricky here with SwoleYourRollSports.com, working on Christmas Day, trying to get my work done, make it a little easier for you guys on Sunday. There's no Thursday game this week, so we're going to hop right into it. It's a very interesting week in terms of a lot of teams have been eliminated. There's several good options at quarterback, and you know we always start at quarterback on these videos. There's two specific guys that I like a lot this week. One is Tony Romo. The other is Andrew Luck. I could also be talked into Cam Newton, Peyton Manning, Alex Smith I don't like as much, even though he has a good matchup. But Tannehill and Breeze also with very similar value this week. But the guy I'm going to plug into this lineup here is Andrew Luck. He's got a premium matchup against Tennessee. Tennessee's really bad against the pass and the rush. And I typically like to find a quarterback who's playing against a team that has a good pass or a good rush defense and a very bad pass defense. And if I were going to start with that, I would have Tony Romo. Tony Romo is my guy this week. They play Washington. Washington top 10 run defense and the worst pass defense in the league. And Dallas definitely would like to win that game, and I could definitely see throwing. I'm going to have Tony Romo on a lot of my teams, but for this team here, I'm going to make it a little more difficult and go with Andrew Luck. He had probably the worst game of his career last week. 22 passing attempts, 109 yards, got pulled. They got behind really bad at Dallas, really ugly situation. I look for him to bounce back in a big way. We're going to move right on to running backs. If you've been buying our lineups, or if you receive our lineups, or if you've been watching these videos, you know, like I like to spend at running back. Le'Veon Bell this week up against Cincinnati. Cincinnati, I keep harping on the fact that they actually found a way to give up over 80 yards rushing to Trent Richardson. That's a very difficult thing to do. I think Indianapolis had somewhere around 10 rushing yards as a team last week. So in this lineup right here, we're just we're spending. We've got basically two of the most expensive guys on the whole entire board. Actually, two of the top 5 or so, and we're going to go from there. The next guy we're going to target here is Jonathan Stewart. They play Atlanta this week. This is definitely a game that both teams need to win. Jonathan Stewart, who I'm not a big fan of particularly, has really come on recently. He's getting all the carries with D'Angelo being hurt, and he's had 2 very nice games in between there. His price tag's still reasonable at $6.6K, and we're going to throw him in as our second wide receiver or running back in this lineup. From here, I like to go down to my defenses. A lot of good defensive options this week. Houston and Jacksonville. Anytime you're playing Jacksonville is a good idea. Seattle, St. Louis. Seattle's defense obviously has been stellar recently. Green Bay at home against Detroit. I think Stafford's really been forcing it a lot recently, although there's not a lot to play for in that game. Denver at home against Oakland. I know a lot of teams really targeted Oakland last week. I think we're somewhat disappointed. I'm going to go to the well for me, and I'm going to target a little bit of a cheaper defense and go with Miami. They play the Jets. We all know about the Jets. This is a game that doesn't mean a whole lot. However, this is a nice rivalry game for these two teams, and I can see Miami putting some points up against the Jets, getting after one of those horrific quarterbacks there, and maybe scoring a touchdown this week. So we're going to throw them in. The kicker, I always go right to the bottom. Look for a game that's likely to be in decent weather. Patrick Murray's fine. Shane Graham in Tampa, probably the other side of that, is exactly where I'll go. And we'll move on from there. Tight end. Tight end position. There's a lot of interesting positions at tight end, actually, or options this week at tight end. Witten against Washington is a very good option. Charles Clay for Miami. Been getting a lot of targets recently. Tannehill definitely likes the tight ends. The Jets are somewhere in the very bottom. Yeah, the exact worst team against tight ends this year, 37% worse than the league average. Clay's kind of having an injury issue right now, so I think questionable. I think I'm going to move away from him. The guy I'm going to move on to, and I think that Ertz is fine. I think Delaney Walker's fine. I'm going to move on to this guy right here, Jermaine Gresham. They list him as questionable. I can't really find anything to say that he isn't going to play. 9 receptions last week. He's a good red zone target. Pittsburgh's been somewhat susceptible. They're a bottom 17 to tight ends this year. He's $5,200. If I'm not spending $7,500 on Mr. Gronkowski, then I think trying to find a cheaper option is the way to go. And for this team here, we're going to throw in Jermaine Gresham, the wide receiver spot here. 3 wide receiver spots, $6,500 left. A lot of different ways you can go. A lot of cheap options this week. I'm really excited to be able to put some lineups in this week. I'm way ahead of where I normally am at this point of the week, so I'm feeling really good about the NFL as it comes up. We're going to have to watch the wide receiver situation here in Indianapolis. T.Y. Hilton, questionable. He did not play last week. If he were to sit out, and even if he doesn't sit out, and again, this can change. There's a lot of different ways you can go, but in this game here specifically, Reggie Wayne's going to have surgery after the year. His production and snap counts have gone down. Hasn't had a double-digit scoring since the middle of November. It's been a lot of games. He's had some good matchups in here. 1 reception, 5 yards. I love Reggie Wayne, but Reggie Wayne is he's slipping. And the guy that's kind of been picking up his slack, a lot of people were on Moncrief last week actually. I think he put up 1.5 points on Fanduel. But the guy that got all the snaps and all the targets was Hakeem Nicks. 9 receptions, 72 yards, didn't score. Found the end zone the week before. Hakeem Nicks, $5,500 punt option. I like him. Another guy in a very important game. Dallas is Terrence Williams. He's also $5,100. He found pay dirt twice last week. He has a premium matchup against Washington. I can see Romo thrown all over the field here. DeMarco Murray, at some point they've got to rest. So possibly his backup there, but at any point I like Terrence Williams a lot at $5,100. That leaves us $9,100 for a wide receiver, and I love Odell Beckham, but I'm not going to throw him in on this lineup. The next guy that just continues to grind away here, 7 for 115, 6 for 123 and a touchdown. If we get rid of this Buffalo game here, he's just had a very solid, consistent season. I look for Oakland to really try to pound on Denver this week, and I think Demaryius Thomas is probably good for about 17 points. And so this is our first little lineup we're throwing together. Swole Your Roll has had a very nice end of the season in the NFL. NBA couldn't be going any better right now. I've had a lot of success here recently with our lineups. We thank everyone for the support and coming by and watching the videos. If you guys have any requests, shoot me an email, swoleyourrollsports@gmail.com. Thanks for visiting the site, and we'll see you next week.